My broadcast partner and Iona Steven, we have a tradition where we go up in the clubhouse and we watch from the balcony the closing hole. And of course, last year was epic. Yes, the spotlight is still on the big names, but I have a feeling it's going to be one of those years that creates a big name, that creates a superstar.
We have made it to Masters Week, the best week in all of golf. It's the first major of the year, the most prestigious and certainly the most colorful. The azaleas are in full bloom from the pictures that we've seen. The storylines are endless. So let's get right into it. We start with some unfortunate news, and that is Tiger and Phil both not being in the field this year for the first time since 1994. I wasn't even alive the last time we didn't have Tiger or Phil in the Masters. 8 green jackets between the two of them. The tournament's certainly going to have a different feel this year without them. The most unfortunate part about it is that they were both relatively unexpected. Tiger was playing in TGL last week, and then he got the DUI in a rollover car accident. Now he's going to seek treatment overseas. Augusta National released this statement saying that they're sad to hear the news, and then they had to follow that up just last Friday with a statement to Phil Mickelson. So just a double whammy of 2 of the best in the game's history that won't be in the field. Certainly going to be a different feel in Augusta. However, we have these young, bright stars to look to, and we're following up the Rory McIlroy storyline. He'd been searching for that green jacket as the final piece of his Grand Slam for 11 years. Let's look through the full storylines. Guys that have won multiple majors, guys that have won Masters, and then guys that have never won a major before and might be doing so this week in Augusta. And then later on, we're going to have Ned Michaels join the show ahead of his voyage to Augusta, where he'll be calling holes 15 and 16 all week. Great conversation with him about his experiences at Augusta and his favorite storylines this year. We start with Scottie Scheffler, the betting favorite, and he's been the betting favorite for the last few years now at 5-1. Him and his wife, Meredith, just had their second boy, Remy. He was born on March 27th. He was just 9 days old when he showed up on property this weekend. Not a bad life to be 9 days old and showing up to Augusta National, but that's what happens when your dad is a 2-time Masters champion. Will he make it 3 this week? He hasn't had his best stuff in 2026. However, a few weeks off, and now he has the perspective playing for his family again. Last time he had a kid in the same year of a Masters is when Meredith was expecting Bennett pretty much throughout the entire 2024 Masters. We know how that one ended. Scottie Scheffler getting his second green jacket. There are 5 multi-major champions in the field who are still looking for their green jacket. It starts with Bryson DeChambeau. He has been inside the top 6 on the leaderboard after each of the last 8 rounds at Augusta National. That includes last year when he was in the final pairing with Rory McIlroy. He got pretty overshadowed just because of the storyline there for Rory. One thing I want to note on here, there's room for Bryson DeChambeau to improve. His par 5 scoring average over the last year's 4.7, just slightly better than the field average. If he can score better on the par 5s at Augusta National, then he's going to be in line to gain some strokes on the field, which might just be the difference. Last year, he was first in the tournament in driving distance. However, he has lost strokes to the field with his approach play in 3 of the last 4 Masters. So Bryson knows what he's going to have to improve on if he's going to get over that hump and get that green jacket. I would love to see him do it personally. Another player who has multi-major championships going into this, Xander Schauffele, who won 2 in 2024. He finished inside the top 10 at Augusta National in each of the past 3 years. Bryson and Xander are the top 2 favorites in the field this year out of people that have never won the Masters. Scottie, Rory, Jon Rahm are the 3 ahead of them. We'll get into a full betting preview later on, so be sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel so that you can come back and hear my betting picks for the Masters later on this week. The other 3 guys that have multi-major championships but no green jackets, Brooks Koepka. He's been the top storyline on the PGA Tour this year, returning from LIV, and Brooks has sniffed a green jacket before. 2019, he was in that log jam with Tiger Woods and 5 others in the second 9 on Sunday before Tiger pulled away. Brooks finished 1 stroke behind Tiger that year, and then in 2023, He was 4 strokes ahead of the field with just 30 holes to play. He then stalled out, couldn't make any more birdies, giving Jon Rahm a chance to take the lead like he did and win that Masters. So Brooks has been in contention before. He's one of 3 players in the history of the Masters, going back to 1934, that have 5 major championships, none of which are a green jacket. Justin Thomas, who owns just 2 top 10s and 10 career starts at Augusta National. He's coming off back surgery last November. And then Collin Morikawa, who has 4 consecutive top 15s at Augusta National, including a T3 in 2024 when he was paired up with Scottie Scheffler, the eventual champion. Let's go over guys who have won 1 major, 0 green jackets. I want to start with Justin Rose, who's the best story in the Masters now that Rory has a green jacket, in my opinion. And that's because nobody has gotten closer than Justin Rose. He has 7 top 10s in his career at the Masters, 3 runner-up finishes, 2 of which are a playoff, including last year against Rory McIlroy. Let's go back to that final round in 2025. He had 10 birdies. He erased a 7-stroke deficit to force that playoff. Absolutely incredible play from Rose. If he can channel any of that, I like his chances. And he has some recent success that he brings with him. He won by 7 strokes at the Farmers Insurance Open earlier this year. That's the largest victory on the PGA Tour so far this year. Just a wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I'm on Justin Rose to win this week. Let's look at Jason Day. Something really fascinating here is the gap for people who have won a major and then not done so for a while, and then they finally get another, has been 11. 6 players have done it. The gap for Jason Day this year, 11 years. He won his last major in 2015, and if he won the Masters or any major this year, he would become the 7th golfer to have a major won with an 11-year gap between. No one's done it longer. So it's kind of like this might be his last chance to do it for the Aussie. And then we have to talk about Gary Woodland, who is the best story in all of sports right now. He won the Houston Open just 2 years after having brain surgery. He's recently opened up about his PTSD. He was able to put all that in the back burner and go and win his first PGA Tour event since that surgery in Houston and punch his ticket to his 13th Masters. He wouldn't have been in the field otherwise. Really excited to watch Gary Woodland this week and just really happy for him after the journey that he's been on. Another player that is coming off a win in their last event and has won a U.S. Open, that's the most recent U.S. Open winner, J.J. Spaun. He's coming off a win just yesterday at the Valero, Texas Open, his 2nd time winning that event. I actually spoke with him at Augusta last year, and I asked him how it felt to be at the Masters again. He said, "This is the first time I've been here where I've known that I was going to be playing." His only other time at the Masters before last year was when he won the 2022 Valero, Texas Open, booked his ticket to the Masters, and took a flight that night to compete. Now he'll be in his 3rd Masters tournament. He's known for a while that he'd be in this one ever since he won the U.S. Open last year. So J.J. Spaun has some momentum coming with him, and he's definitely more comfortable here than he ever has been. A few names, guys searching for their first major. Cam Young, he just won the Players' Championship. He had that long drought of no wins on the PGA Tour. He got the monkey off his back last August, winning the Wyndham Championship, and then just absolutely blew the doors off on the Sunday final round at the Players this year, erasing a 4-stroke deficit to win the biggest tournament of his career. He was also the points leader for the United States team in the Ryder Cup last year. He has just become one of the best players on tour. I'm excited to see what Cam Young does this week. He has 2 top 10s in just 4 appearances at Augusta National. Let's talk about the local hometown guy, Jacob Bridgman, from just 2 hours north, Inman, South Carolina. He'll be playing in his first Masters after winning the Genesis Invitational. We'll hear Ned Michaels discuss Jacob Bridgman a little bit, but there's a correlation between winning at Genesis and winning at Augusta National. How cool would it be if Jacob Bridgman got it done in Augusta, Georgia, in front of so many friends and family? He grew up going to the tournament. A few others making their debut, Ben Griffin, Chris Gotterup. If one of those guys are able to win, they'd be the first player to do so, winning in their Masters debut since 1979. How cool would that be? And those guys could very well get it done in Augusta. Let's bring on Ned Michaels to discuss his Masters stories and favorite storylines ahead of his trip to Augusta National coming up. I'm pleased to welcome on Ned Michaels for some pure golf talk. Ned is a golf broadcaster for CBS, ESPN, PGA Tour Radio, and pretty much anyone else who has ever put on a big time golf broadcast. He is headed to Augusta in just a few days for his 11th Masters. Ned, I have to ask you, I was there with you in Augusta last year. Was that finish the coolest one that you've been a part of in your 11 years?
It, I don't know. I was there for when Tiger won as well, just a few years ago. But yeah, it was so frenetic. That was the thing. It was always going to be McIlroy. It's like a round of golf where you shoot a nice round, but then you look at the scorecard and it's got all kinds of geometry on it and circles and squares and triangles. It was exhausting and thrilling, but yes, I think what do they say? Instant classic. It was.
Oh, it was so good. Sixth player to complete the career Grand Slam, first since Tiger. Took him 11 tries. So, if this is your 11th year, then you were there for pretty much every one. I bet it's going to feel good to finally cover a Masters where the storyline isn't will Rory do it?
it's a That's a valid point. I hadn't really thought about that way, but yes, it's now can Rory do it again?
Yeah.
But there are so many storylines coming into this Masters. Everything from again, there's McIlroy playing well. Koepka is back on the PGA Tour. That makes a difference. I've seen some life in his game, right? So, and then you got the other guys. You've got Rahm, you've got DeChambeau coming back, and then of course Scottie Scheffler. How is he going to play? Hasn't been his best year, that's for certain. And then you've got some of these young stars kind of seeking stardom in their first couple of Masters. There's Min Woo Lee, who I think has a really good chance, and Akshay Bhatia. So yes, the spotlight is still on the big names, but I have a feeling it's going to be one of those years that creates a big name, that creates a superstar. And I think there are a handful of guys who fit that bill. So I'm kind of looking in the second layer, if that's fair to say, the second layer of potential winners this year, given that McIlroy had won the year before and all the big names. But you never know. It's the Masters, right? You don't fake your way into Masters. You don't luck your way into winning the Masters. You have to deliver for 4 days.
Yeah, that's right. And it's been the big names that have been winning recently. I think the last 6 years, it's been the top six of the past seven Masters winners were among the top three favorites entering the week. So if it's going to be a second tier guy, like you're saying, it's kind of going to go against the mold of what we've seen recently. You mentioned Akshay, you mentioned Minwoo Lee. Are there any other names that come to mind from that second or maybe third tier of guys that you're going to be calling this week?
So those are my two main guys I've been focused on. But I would look at a guy like Jacob Bridgman. Yeah, first
Yeah.
time in the Masters. Again, he is a marvelous putter. He's a good enough ball striker. And there's this wild correlation, and I won't bore you with all the details of it, but there's this wild correlation between players who perform well at Riviera and then players who go on to win a Masters or have success at
Hmm.
Augusta National Golf Club during the Masters. And of course, that's where Bridgman won just recently in the West Coast swing, was at Riviera. So he's a guy who, is he likely to win? No. He's a first timer. You don't win the Masters in your first time, at least not modern era. And I'd give Fuzzy, he's modern era, but he's the only one who has done it in modern era. So, but I would look at a guy like Jacob Bridgman. But I'm really, Min Woo Lee to me is of high interest, especially coming off Houston with that nice finish. And then Akshay. He's made the cut both times he's played the Masters, but he's shown me he's hit a few shots. For example, he was round one, long of the green on 15. The hole was front left. You're dead. You're playing that as a mini par three at that point. You're just trying to make your five. And he's playing with Shane Lowry, so a pretty imposing character. And his Akshay steps up and hits this parachute flop shot that had about 1 yard in which it could land just on the back edge of the green, and it trickles down to 5 feet and he makes it. So he's building good memories. He's building an arsenal of shots that he's going to be able to fall back on. And he's also played with guys like Shane Lowry, who have played a bunch of Masters, who understand the golf course. And you can look at like John Rahm. He did the same thing. He played with Tiger Woods the year before, and the year two years in the Masters before he won. All these things that add up. And so for me, Akshay's a guy who's accumulating this knowledge and confidence that's going to go a long way around that golf course.
Akshay just 24 years old, I want to say. He's from Wake Forest, North Carolina. He's been dominant ever since he decided to skip college and go pro. Whenever I think of him at Augusta, I picture him when he was 12 years old doing the drive, chip, and putt, wearing his glasses, looking all nerdy. I know he always jokes about that last year.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? The first I would say kid, because that's what it is, a drive, chip, and putt. First kid ever to play in the Masters from that drive, chip, and putt. He's really his golf swing is so much better now. I mean, it used to be kind of inside and across the line, and he was inconsistent, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And now his golf swing is really, really solid, and he works the ball well both ways. And lefties, Taft, as you know, at the Masters, have a pretty good track record.
Well, hey, I'm here in Athens, Georgia. We know a thing or two about a lefty doing well here. Bubba Watson winning 2 green jackets. You mentioned Jacob Bridgman getting it done at Genesis, the tournament hosted by Tiger. Lots of unfortunate news this week. Both Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson not going to be in the field for the first time since probably before you were at Woodbury Forest, 1994.
That's right. I read that. 94. How about that?
How did that news strike you as someone who's been in golf for so long?
Well, let me start from a personal perspective. You know, Tiger now has announced that he's going overseas to seek help and treatment, and so just our best to him, right? As a man, as a father, we want the best for Tiger, for anybody, we would. So let's hope that he gets the help that he needs, that he can get kind of organized, get himself back together. From the broadcaster and from the golf fan, we're going to miss him. And I actually think he was planning on playing, was my thought. I don't know that. I don't have any inside intel, but he had been practicing, he'd been playing, he played the TGL. Swing looked pretty good. Again, Augusta National is a place that is a hard walk. I was never worried about the golf. It's, can he walk the golf course? Mm-hmm. So yeah, and then Phil, we don't really know what's happening with Phil. We're going to miss him too, just because, in my opinion, golf's a better game when Phil's in it. He's entertaining. He's magnetic. He hits shots, and he's also, you mentioned, going back to my time at Woodbury, one of my very favorite memories was going to the Masters growing up in Atlanta with Dad, and we were standing behind the 14th green, and this young swashbuckler lefty, the whole location is front right, and he's just short of the green, and it looks like an innocuous kind of benign chip, but there's just no way you can get it close because of how everything slopes away from you. You're destined to end up 15 feet, 20 feet long, kind of in the center of the green. And he starts taking these huge flop swings, and my dad and I have never seen anything like this. And he hits it straight up. It goes about 10 feet forward, 30 feet in the air, boom, lands like a shot put, and ends up 2 feet from the hole. Wow. And it was one of the coolest memories. Just one of those things that, as a young golfer, you say, I didn't even know that shot existed. So to not have either one of those guys, yeah, we're going to miss them. However, somebody's going to win the Masters this week. So we're going to focus on who's in the field, who's playing well, who has a chance. And we'll wish both of those guys the best, and we'll hope that they're back next year.
100%. I tried to get you to take the bait on Rory being the best Masters you've been a part of, and you were wise to say, no, I was there in 2019. Come on, because you can't beat that Tiger comeback story.
Yeah, it was it was emotional, just as a golf fan, and what he had been through, and his son Charlie right there on the back of the green, and there's kind of a tradition where we would finish our broadcast, because we do holes 15 and 16, and we race up to the 18th to watch the finish. And they used to have a little standing area right behind the right under Jim Nance's tower, just about where we could stand, and that's essentially right where Tiger and Charlie embraced. So you could feel the emotion, feel the energy. It was something I won't ever forget. And then last year, my broadcast partner and I, Iona Stephen, we have a tradition where we go up in the clubhouse and we watch from the balcony the closing hole. And of course, last year was epic. And so we were there for a while after we were done. And again, the energy was electric. You could feel what everybody was feeling. And it's so hard to believe you can get that many people that quiet. Yeah. But you could have heard somebody sneeze in Augusta downtown last year. It was the drama was high level, man.
Yeah, can't beat it. Cannot imagine the feelings that everyone was going through in that moment. Walk the listener through, walk me through what your next week's gonna look like in Augusta.
So I'll drive down. I try to get down there as early as I can Monday because why wouldn't you? And then it is interesting because it's like a family reunion, right? And so there are people that you only see at Augusta during the Masters, and you may talk to them once or twice during the year, but this may be the only time you see them. And so Monday for me is like first day of school. You stop and you have conversations and you catch up with people you haven't seen. The players we have a little less access to the players, which I think is appropriate given that it's the Masters. So you stand under the old oak behind the clubhouse, and if you can get time with one of the players, then you spend 5 or 10 minutes with them. I like to walk the golf course at dusk, especially go down Amen Corner and then up to 15 and 16. I think it's kind of a tradition for me, but also just the golf course kind of speaks to you. And there's typically not many people down there because the practice rounds are done for the day. And I'll crawl up into one of the grandstands, one of the patron observation areas, and I'll sit and just, you don't have your phone. You have to think, you have to be by yourself, and it's wonderful. And then Tuesday, I'll walk with our producer. We'll do a long, slow walk on 15 and 16 in the morning, and we'll have lunch together, have a production meeting in the afternoon, which is always enlightening, always super helpful. And again, you may not have seen a lot of the people who you're going to be working with or around, so it's fun to catch up. Tuesday afternoon, the players start to get into business mode. So it's a little more difficult to get, unless they're doing a press conference, a little more difficult to ask some of the questions that you might have wanted to ask. So you try to get those in on Monday or early Tuesday. And then Wednesday is go time. And what I do on Wednesday is I sit primarily on the tournament practice area and I watch all the players because I want to be able to tell and see who's doing what, who has their coach and 2 TrackMan out and 3 drivers and 2 putters, and they're working on positions in their golf swing. Because then hey, this guy's not comfortable. You may watch somebody come out, hit 20 balls and go straight to the golf course. And then you watch him on the golf course and you say, wait a minute, now this guy is in control of things. So I'll sit there from 9 in the morning till the last player. I may sneak out to the golf course a little bit on Wednesday, but and then every night it's prep mode, right? It's trying to get the good stories about each player, trying to sit with some of your colleagues and just chit chat. And that's where the good stuff is, really. And then somewhere in there, Taft, you got to do your shopping, right? You're going to have to spend a couple hours in the merch tent, dropping way too much money. By the way, I like that logo you have there. That's sharp, man. So it's a full week. And then come Thursday morning till Sunday, we're in the broadcast chair from the time anybody steps on the 15th tee till the last foot comes off the 16th green. We're there. We're going to take you all the way through both of these iconic holes, 15 and 16. I mean, it is it's a real gift, a real blessing to be able to do these 2 holes.
Well, every golf fan is going to be hearing your voice when they're watching those 2 holes, the best par 3 in all of golf of 16. And then 15 is where Rory won last year, right? With that incredible second shot. What about those 2 holes strikes your golf fandom and appreciation for great architecture?
Well, 15 is traditionally the most, or one of the most scoreable holes on the golf course. Almost everybody hits the fairway. If you've missed the fairway, you've had a really poor shot, and you're probably thinking about your golf swing. But it's all about the second shot. Can I get there? Can I hold the green? What's the wind doing? Where is the hole location is enormous. And just because you get it over the pond at 15 and onto the green, and then it creeps over the green, that can be lethal depending on where the flag is. So I love listening to the discussions between the caddies and the players. And I was reminded of a discussion Nicholas had. I was just watching. He hits 1 iron in there and didn't even take a practice swing. It's incredible. And these guys are up there now scratching their head, debating, throwing up grass. If their caddy's a smoker, they're looking at the cigarette smoke. I mean, and there are all these little things that haven't been there now for almost a decade on these 2 holes that I know what I'm looking for in terms of which trees. It's not, are the trees blowing, Taft? It's which tree is moving. And so there's some little secrets that I kind of keep to myself. And they're even like certain branches when you're standing on the 16th tee that I'm looking for certain branches. What are those branches doing? And so it's kind of neat to know some of the secrets of these two holes. Talking about it and then hitting the shot, two completely different endeavors. And then, of course, 16 is it was built for drama, right? It's built to tempt you to try to hit the shot. And we all know that back left Sunday hole location. We know what that's going to do. But you've got to be able to handle the front right hole location. So it's seemingly straightforward, this golf hole, and it's short by modern standards, but it's mighty, and it's tripped up many players. There's Bryson DeChambeau. I was looking. He's birdied it in the first round, 16, like 5 of the last 7 years or 4 of the last 7 years. He's birdied 15 and 16 4 times back to back. He's also made double bogeys on both holes.
Wow.
So, you can definitely win it, and you can definitely lose it on 15 and 16.
Well, we look forward to hearing you call all the drama on those 2 holes this week. Ned, thank you so much for joining me here on Pure Golf Talk.
Hey, Taft, let me just say one thing before we go, man. I just want to let you know I'm happy for you, and I am just incredibly proud of you. I've watched you come all the way from high school to what you're doing now, and it's, man, whenever I see you or hear your name, I'm just pumped for you, buddy. So keep working hard, keep climbing that ladder, because you're doing great.
Thank you so much, Ned. It's because of guys like you who have made this journey possible
no,
for me.
Don't listen to me. Sidestep me.
Well, I won't have any option because I'm going to be wanting to watch the action on 16. So I'm going to have to listen to you. Ned, take care.
All right, pal. See you.